Hello, I'm R.A. Spratt. I write and perform this podcast. If you'd like to support the show, I'm a children's author, so you can buy a book by me, or you can buy me a coffee by going to buymeacoffee.com/storiesrasprat. It's an easy way to make a small thank you gift to the show so I can keep kicking this can down the road. The podcast directory you're using right now should have a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page in the show notes, or you can type it into your browser. That's buymeacoffee.com/storiesrasprat. All contributions are gratefully appreciated. Hello and welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, R.A. Spratt. Okay, so we're reading my book, The Peski Kids 4, Near Extinction, and we're up to chapter 27, Awkward. Let's get stuck into it. Here we go. Mum, Dad and Ingrid were having the most awkward road trip ever. They were driving back to Currawong from the airport. Once they'd got out of the prison by crawling through the sewers, slipping over the border and catching a plane had not been too hard. The hard part had been getting rid of the smell. They'd all had multiple showers and changed into fresh clothes, but an odour still hung over them. They'd been so exhausted they slept through most of the flight, and they couldn't exactly have a conversation about international espionage on a crowded plane. Now they were in a car, just the three of them. They should have had plenty to talk about, but they were all strangely silent. This was pretty normal for Ingrid. She didn't believe in unnecessary verbal communication. She was driving and concentrating on the road. But Dad and Mum didn't have much to say either. Dad was sitting in the front passenger seat, feeling very anxious. He tried to soothe himself with calming thoughts about pruning, but it was of no use. He couldn't ignore the fact that his estranged wife was sitting a metre behind him. Mum didn't have anything to say either. She'd spent 3 months in prison avoiding saying anything, despite all the latest psychological interrogation techniques being used on her. She was hardly going to crack now, just because of a little awkward silence. They were about 45 minutes from Currawong, 60 if you drove at the speed limit, but Ingrid never did. The road stretched long and straight into the distance. You could see any obstacle literally miles away. So Ingrid noticed right away, when up ahead, there came into view a police car parked in the middle of the road. "Something is wrong," said Ingrid. "Oh dear," said Dad. Mum leaned sideways and forward so she could get a better view out through the windscreen. "Is it some sort of trap?" she asked. "I don't think Constable Pike is smart enough to stage an ambush," said Ingrid. "But he wouldn't have just broken down in the road," said Mum. Ingrid shrugged her shoulders. "Maybe not, but he is dumb enough to forget to get petrol." "Don't slow down," said Mum. "Drive around it." They were closer now. There was no sign of Constable Pike. "No, stop," said Dad, with authority. Ingrid did not like Mum. She respected her as one of the best living espionage operatives in the world, but she didn't like her because of what she